Launching downfield, underthrown, and intercepted. Keely Ringo has an escort down the sidelines.
Heartbreak.
All the way to the end zone.
Despair. Let down. Choke.
These are words Atlanta sports fans are all too used to hearing.
On the way. Chopper out to Dansby.
Until now.
Dansby throws to first base. Is this happening?
No more negative expectations. No more playing the victim. No more fair weather freeloaders. No more.
38-yard field goal by Morton Anderson. The hold, the kick, it's on the way, it's up and good. The Falcons are going to the Super Bowl. The Falcons are going to the Super Bowl.
From the Mesmerized Studios in Woodstock, Georgia, Believe Entertainment proudly presents Believe in Atlanta Sports with your hosts, Robert Taylor and the Commissioner, Mark Rich.
Well, hi there, Atlanta. We almost weren't with you today. We had some technical difficulties because pretty much the inmates are running the prison now. We used to have a guy that would hang out here kind of in the hallway. He was waiting in the wings, if you will, kind of help us out with the cameras and stuff, but no one does that anymore. So we're kind of learning. And I think we mentioned this in a prior episode, but man, we got our cameras mounted on the wall. Looks all professional. Our lighting is now mounted in the ceiling, so things are coming together. There's a cool, you can't see it obviously because it's off camera, but there's a cool screen here where you're going to see some more gadgets on the table. We're going to control our angles and our cutaways, and we're going to be able to get episodes out much earlier. And you know, if you listen to our intro, you heard Jeff Hullinger and Jeff Van Note say the Falcons are going to the Super Bowl. They may not this year, but they have started the season. There were some bright spots, and Mark's going to talk about it. But, man, they lost another one late in the game. But before we dive into that, we've got to talk. I've got to live vicariously through you because everybody knows, if you've been watching, I took a weekend up to Asheville with the girlfriend. We'd never taken a trip by ourselves. It was awesome, but I unplugged. I peeked a little. Didn't watch a lot of sports, didn't read a lot of sports. We did all kind of cool stuff down by the river, made ceramics, walked around the town, saw all the cool shops, all the great art. It's a nice little place. Got an old friend that lives up there, but he was traveling, couldn't get with him. But the Bird Gang fired it up for yet another season, and they ate all the Falcons' wings. It's a load of poo-poo. I can say shit if I want to, but I just didn't. But
well, you just really wanted to use it for effect. I get it. Yeah, the wings were plentiful but gone. I think we did about 200 wings this tailgate. It was quite a bit. We had a bunch of people show up. It was just a really great time. Like bunch of OGs. Obviously, we have kind of a ritual. So Jamie Sellers, who you've mentioned by name multiple times because you want the wing recipe so badly.
I'm getting the invites now. I got an invite to the next tailgate. I'm part of the group on Facebook, so I've already been integrated into the herd. I've just got to get down there.
You have to. So Jamie and I have kind of a ritual. He comes in from Arkansas, which is home base for him right now, and wherever he stays somewhere, usually comes in on Friday, and then we end up going to the game. So whatever my schedule happens to be on Saturday, I usually leave work or wherever I am and go meet up with him wherever he's staying, and then just crash in the hotel room, and we get up at the crack of dawn and get out there we were out there by 6 a.m. Make sure nobody steals.
Man, you got that's anywhere in the South. For those of you who may be transplants and you're watching the show, or maybe you watch the game at home, you don't get out much because of COVID still, or for whatever reason, if you don't know this, in the South, it can be rough. Fights have broken out over tailgate spots. Like, you got to get there and claim it. But so I want to talk about this for a second. Being a faithful fan, he's driving from Arkansas every weekend.
So something about our tailgate that is like it's like the centerpiece of our tailgate. When we first started doing this, my first tailgate with him down there was a Monday Night Football game against the Eagles, and the year I always blank, but we've been doing this for quite a while now. But he had this little grill that attached to the back of his truck. You've seen them before.
Yeah, they're
tiny
great.
Little grills, and they're good, but it was a small grill, and there's only 3 of us, so we made it work. But eventually we got a much bigger grill, and we got it fabricated. We essentially cut the bottom out of the old grill, and then put the bigger grill in the base of that, and got it welded on there. And he had somebody in Arkansas like reinforce the trailer hitch, and he's got like chains that hook underneath the back of it to stabilize it. So when we drive with it, it's a full-size grill. I showed you a picture of it earlier. It's a full-size grill that attaches to the back of his truck. So he literally brings the truck up here. I keep the grill at my house, so he comes up here and he picks that up. But literally all our canopies, our chairs, coolers, the whole 9 is in the back of his truck. So when he's out of town, the tailgate is lacking a little bit. So we're talking about it while we're down there for the first tailgate. We have to figure out a way to be able to do it up here. So it looks like I'm going to be spending a little bit of cashish on a backup tailgate.
So the grill, it's like it's both yours. You just keep it over at your house.
Well, it's his, but we keep it at my house. Yeah, no, it's awesome actually. Like I don't know. We've had other people. Our friend Vince, who was at the tailgate, he actually made a smoker out of 2 ceramic flower pots, and we've had that at the tailgate. We've had people bring like tower smokers. We've had people come with deep fryers. We've had a bunch of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the centerpiece. But I meet up with him on Saturday night. We get out there first thing in the morning, and generally we wait an hour or so for the next person to show up, depending on who's coming to the tailgate, because everybody's got stuff going on. So it's not like it used to be when we were all carefree and everybody showed up at 6:30 and started pouring Jameson. But it's just not. It's different now, but it's still amazing. We christened our new speaker. We spent a little bit of money to replace our old one that was coughing and crackling by the end of last season. We had TV out there. We were watching a little bit of rugby. Jamie is from New Zealand, huge rugby and cricket fan. He's trying to get me into it. I'm learning slowly, but we did watch the Rabbits win a game on Sunday morning, so that was cool. But yeah, we got TV set up. We have watching ESPN out at the tailgate. Food though, man, good Lord. I just want to give a shout out to all the people that came by too. My brother showed up for this one
with cigars. I saw that.
Yeah. Well, and he felt it was funny. We have random people show up. We've met so many people over the years that we never know exactly who's. That's what kind of why we started the Facebook page, so we can get an idea of who's coming out, because we just bring food. If we know you're coming, we'll make sure there's enough food for you. But our buddy Derek came out. We haven't seen him in a season or so, and he's big into cigars too. And my brother, we were just having a conversation about cigars, and my brother was like, "Oh man, I felt terrible when I cracked these out because I could have brought more." And Derek was like, "I didn't know you guys smoke cigars. We could have brought a whole bunch." So we're gonna have a damn humidor out there next time.
I'm waiting to see a recliner or something.
I'll show you a picture later. Derek had one of those Magellan like lean back with the footrest. Yeah. Oh, it's very for real.
How do I get a turn on the grill?
Man.
Can I get the tongs? Because you know me.
Well, since you're basically on a watch list to keep you, within arm's reach of the wings at all times. We feel like if you get some tongs on a wing, you're probably just processing something. You have one of those weird. We know what you do for what you're in school for. I'm pretty sure you probably have one of those contacts that can scan the wing and tell you what kind of spices are on it.
Not that they are amazing. They're some of the best wings I've ever eaten. But the only thing I was going to ask him is, does he brine them in anything? Because that then might just take him out to the stratosphere of wingdom. Like if he brined them in maybe a little vinegar and some pickle juice and some buttermilk and mojo overnight, then grilled them up and did the magic spice. Those things might be.
You might have to just bring those to the next tailgate and throw them down.
I'm gonna get to one because now that I'm free of the chains of the restaurant industry, I can enjoy my weekends now and watch Georgia football, and I can watch actual football and not just sneak out to the bar and catch it. So I'm gonna come to some games this year. I just gotta.
Let me just give you one more insight into our tailgate, and it's awesome. This gentleman watches, I'm not sure, but he's a fan of the show. Our buddy Ernst comes to the tailgate, and this dude just rolls up every single time and pulls out a rack of lamb and drops it on the grill. Literally, every time he shows up with a rack of lamb.
Hey, man.
And but that's our tailgate is so weird and so fun. Vince actually makes these beans that I talk about all the time, but like it's like his own special recipe. It's got ground beef, it's got bacon, it's got sausage, it's got brown sugar, it's got you name it. I think this time it had some ghost pepper in it, but it's like baked beans with all this stuff mixed together. And he passed it on to me. Apparently he's not doing the beans anymore, so now the beans are my responsibility. So
I got a wicked Colorado bean recipe.
Okay.
Wicked. Now let me ask you this. Who makes the cornbread?
Man, where?
So you do have, I'm just asking, you do have cornbread there? Like there's cornbread at the tailgate?
We have had cornbread at the tailgate one time.
Okay, well, we got to fix that too.
I'm saying, feel free to bring whatever, any.
I feel like I gotta come with my A game. I gotta bring something to the table.
That's 100%
to make it even better. So I'll make the cornbread the night before or something. I don't know. I kind of want to get in on that hotel room, man, to be down there in the action. But we've got to talk some football. As we said, the Falcons squared off against the New Orleans corn dog vendors. And, man, Mark's going to tell you about the bright spots. Like I said, I didn't get to see a lot of the game. I saw that they were winning the game fairly handily through the first three quarters. I'm just going to break out the only stat I got because I saw it, and it blew my mind. My brother, both my brother-in-laws texted, and they said, "Where's this Falcons defense been?" And they look great. Hey, it's only the first game, but you know the Falcons, and even Arthur Smith said this. He's like, "You guys wrote us off in May. You wrote us off again at the end of camp. Like there were no expectations for us."
Wrote our obituary.
Yeah, he said. So I don't really give a damn what you say. We've got 16 more games. But it is a problem that's got to be solved. Now, they've got 16 games to do it, but I'm not going to relive the nightmare of all the blown late leads the Falcons had. But there's 5 or 6 in the last couple of seasons, and we won't talk about the king of them all. But so Jameis Winston, famous Jameis, the crab leg stealer extraordinaire, and yes, he stole crab legs. Not allegedly, he did it. I don't know. Anywhere I can get a little jab in. But first three quarters, 10 of 18 for 56 yards, no touchdowns. The fourth quarter, and I don't think this is even all of the fourth quarter. Maybe it is, but I think it was just a piece of the fourth quarter. He goes just completely bananas. 13 of 16, 212 yards, 2 TDs.
And a 2-point conversion.
So that being said, like you, the Twitter GMs and the Boo Birds were going bananas, but I was like, hey, guys, Arthur Smith has a mammoth task set before him of rebuilding this team. And we said on the last episode, probably one of the worst rebuilds of any team in recent memory because there were so many. We got to find our quarterback. Hey, our wide receiver core, we got Kyle Pitts, but he's more of a tight end kind of hybrid guy. Like we don't have that superstar wide receiver. Is it Drake London? Maybe it is. Defense, we don't have a pass rush. The secondary, is it going to, kind of get in tune with Team P's and his defensive scheme? It's a little difficult to pick up from what I understand. offensive line, running back. Questions abound. Red zone. Questions abound everywhere. But fourth quarter, man, we got to learn how to hold on to those leads, maintain those leads. But let's get off the negative.
All those things that you were just saying, though, that it was 3 quarters of like, okay, all right. And then we got kicked in the nuts. But the worst thing about this to me, the very worst thing about it to me is that no matter what good happened, the way we lost gave every one of those people like fuel to go out there and just completely trash the Falcons. And I'm not gonna stand back and say that I didn't see the exact same thing that you saw, and that the Saints didn't come charging back, and it didn't look like we were playing to not lose instead of to win the game, and like all the stuff. Like our defense slacked up in the fourth quarter, and like there's so much. Here's my take on some things for you. Defense. Talking about the secondary and Dean Pease's defense. Richie Grant and Jalen Hawkins were awesome. Like I came to see them. It's no secret. I'm excited to see our safety duo and how they progress this year. And I was very pleased watching them all game. AJ Terrell, people want to point out that like he got exposed. He got exposed by Michael Thomas on 2 back shoulder throws that Jameis put where only Michael could get them, and it's Michael Thomas, so he caught them. Like you're not exposing AJ Terrell here, considering he gave up 37 yards of total offense all game. That's on you didn't get exposed, but like, hey, just in case anybody was wondering, Michael Thomas is back, everybody. That's a thing that we haven't seen in a while, and people forget. He's an excellent wide receiver. Jarvis Landry came out and had himself a day. 7 catches, 114 yards. We are still getting used to stuff in the secondary. Casey Hayward's new. Everybody's learning and fitting in. And just because we look to be well ahead of schedule in the first half because we were beating the Saints, it's also the first game of the season. So maybe they were a little rusty too coming into everything. Maybe it took them a minute to go. I'll tell you what didn't happen though. Alvin Kamara didn't beat us. Alvin Kamara didn't eat us alive like he has in the past. So if you want to focus on the positive things that I saw is we had our first 4-sack game since like 2016 or 18. It's the last time we did that in one game. Grady had 1.5. Lorenzo Carter had a half. Ebiketie got his first sack. Who else?
Getting to the quarterback, that's something you have to do in football games, so you got to love that. I'm going to throw some gasoline on your fire.
Please. And
you can respond to the Twitter GMs and all the other crybabies in the fan base that just, they just go berserko when things like this happen. And I get it. It's frustrating. It is frustrating. But what people are already now saying after last season, in which he had, if I'm not mistaken, one of the better rookie campaigns for a tight end / wide receiver in Kyle Pitts. He had a great season. Now, after this game, people are saying that Arthur Smith does not know how to use Kyle Pitts and he's misappropriating his talents. Like, go.
I don't. So
take off.
So it's easy to blame Arthur. Let me tell you what I saw. I saw Marcus Mariota rush 12 times for 72 yards and a touchdown. Okay, those plays right there where he chooses to run. Those are some plays where usually your hybrid tight end becomes your release valve, and you get a little extra out of him there. I watched a play, and we'll get real deep on Mariota here in a minute. I watched a play where Marcus had the entire right side of the field wide open. Entire right side of the field. Chose not to run, but instead forced the ball Kyle Pitts' way. on the other side of the field for a contested catch. I wrote this down just so I didn't forget. Pitts was targeted 7 times. He had 2 catches for 19 yards. That pisses me off. That really pisses me off because of those 7 targets. There were a lot of contested footballs. I'm not saying the game plan is not to get Kyle in it. I'm saying this might be a chemistry thing, an indecision thing on Mariota's part, because I watched him be very indecisive, and instead of putting the ball where Kyle Pitts could get it in stride early, it became a 50-50 ball or a jump ball where Pitts is contested, and he comes down with those a lot of times. But I watched the entire game. It didn't look like Pitts was put in a situation to succeed. So I don't think that he will be underutilized. He also had Marshawn Lattimore shadowing him the entire game, and he is, his rookie year last year, I think he had 2 catches total against him. So he's doubled his production against Marshawn Lattimore in one game. Neither here nor there. You have to get him. The part that killed me, red zone. In the red zone, this is where you figure it out. You have your 6'5" Drake London. You have your unicorn in Kyle Pitts. And I'm watching, and I don't know if we're trying to use them as smoke screens or whatever, but if you're going to throw the ball underneath to Parker Hess or to Fersker to try to score a touchdown instead of throwing a 50-50 fade to either London or Pitts, I'd much rather you see that and watch us miss on that than throw it underneath and go safe and miss it by 2 yards. You know what I'm saying? We kicked a lot of field goals, and shouts out to Koo for making all of them except for the last one. But man, I don't think that we are underutilizing Kyle. I certainly don't think you can make that decision in one game after his rookie campaign. Like you said, you can say that this game sucked and it looked like we didn't know what we were doing, but like you can't come to a conclusion with this small sample size.
So, yeah, you may call this a hot take. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but I'm going to throw the old hook at you. Because I don't know our depth chart. I don't know who's on the practice squad, but there's a guy who's just been released. Now, had a hip injury, but first couple seasons he did well. But the hot rod is on the market. He's been released by the Colts. Do you think the Falcons sign him up? Do you think they
no offense,
they kick the tires? Koo is very good. He's very good. But, is he a safety net? What if Koo gets hurt? What if he goes down? Do they have a good, better, best option, after him?
I think the NFL is kind of like fantasy football, and you get looked at like a complete weirdo if you have a backup kicker. I think you go get them when you need them. When your bye week's coming up in fantasy, you just look on the waiver wire and you snatch up whoever's there. I feel like it's the same thing in the NFL. And nothing against Hot Rod. I love what he did at Georgia, but there's a reason he's being released from the Colts, and I have zero problem with Koo right now. Koo is,
I don't know. I think maybe the Colts overreacted a little bit. The hip is very important to a kicker. It's part of the mechanics. Me too. Like sometimes you need a fresh start somewhere. But I also, and I, the only reason I say this is because we have the Hot Rod connection. Besides that, he went to Georgia. Both of our former employers, our very good friend, Donnie Gwaltney,
he's
Gustin's
my current
Grill and
employer.
Tap, Woodstock, Ackworth. Check it out.
Yeah, I still work for him, everybody. Don't get scared. I'm not quitting.
Yeah. Hot Rod used to be around when he was a kid. Donnie knows his parents very well. So I think he even babysat him a couple times, but he was around him growing up. So there's kind of that little connection there. And just how cool would it be to have, he's from Woodstock, Georgia, Marietta, around, he's a local boy. Now I'm probably overreaching only because, the Braves have a treasure trove of local talent, but I just always think it's cool when the hometown people are on the big club, and that's it. And it's probably not going to happen. I do think he's too good to not be picked up by somebody, but
I'm sure
Just think about the merchandising, though, the specs and the Dirty Birds, and it'd be a windfall. But
when you come to a Falcons game and when he steps on the field, the whole place sounds like it's booing, but it's cooing, and Mercedes-Benz, and he's got a cult following. So I don't think for us, and I love Hot Rod, but I don't think he's going to be a fit for us. You're certainly not going to get rid of Koo for no reason.
I think it would be cooler, though, if, when the Hot Rod comes out, the whole stadium sounds like a rumbling engine than a bunch of pigeons. But I'm just saying, man, just being goofy. But so, let's dive a little further. I know you have tons to talk about. Like I said, I'm living vicariously through you because I took some time off, but I do want to stress the importance of that sometimes you just got to put the phone down, and we didn't take any computers or anything. Sometimes you got to do that. But I'm back on the chain gang now.
And I'm here to help.
Yeah. And I actually missed, they didn't reach out to me, so I don't know, maybe something's going on with that, but my Rayvon app that I participate in, I didn't hear from them, but maybe I'll be on it this Sunday, but you guys know all about that. But so, let's get, we're not going to focus on the negative, because like everybody said, we were picked to be 2-15, and then I saw a 4-13. So let's talk about the things we saw that we liked. We already talked about, we got 4 sacks, and
the last sack was Michael Walker. I don't want to leave him out because he was all over the field. I'm impressed. That's a part of the game where, we haven't had any pressure. Just you talked about James's stats in the first 3 quarters, and like you could see it. It was a different energy in there. Like fans were seeing things. We had a rushing game. Cordero Patterson set a career high in rushing yards. Like that's amazing to me, because we still have the same offensive line with 2 additions. You know what I mean? Where we just swap pieces out. It's not like we went out and made a splash in free agency.
Yeah.
We got Drew Dahlman in at center, and that's, I don't know. The running game was there. Mariota rushes for 72 yards. It's a different, the offense itself is running differently. So for 3 quarters, it's great. And then just the overall defense. And we're not world beaters by any stretch of the imagination yet, but like getting pressure on the quarterback, getting out of there on 3rd downs, not letting them extend the drive, not getting gashed by the running game. It was great. Taysom Hill is the one that killed us on the ground. And that guy's just a Swiss Army knife over there. Our Swiss Army knife was good. Theirs was good also.
Who has been called a discount Felipe Franks, which we mentioned on this show, but it's the other way around. Cordero Patterson, that is such a crazy, wild story. Simply because how many times, other than this instance in NFL history, has a wide receiver transition to running back? I can't think of one. This probably happened maybe before my time, but another question I have is the O-line seemed to look good, but I'm just going to ask one of those devil's advocate questions. Do you think maybe their performance was propped up a little bit by Mariota's ability to extend plays with his legs and maybe get out of trouble, to whereas if Matt's still here, maybe some of those plays end poorly because the pocket collapsed? Did you see any of that?
Well, so you got to look at it like this. Mariota ran 12 times, right? 12 carries, 72 yards, 1 touchdown. So of those 12 plays, those were broken plays that he extended with his legs. Now, I also said earlier that, I think it's a bonus for us, because people would, the Matt supporters last year would have said it was the offensive line, and the people who hate Matt Ryan would have blamed it on Matt for not being able to get out of his own way. So for me, not having to deal with that part of the conversation is what it is. However, playing devil's advocate on that one, if you take time and you go through your progression and you don't run, maybe you see your Kyle Pitts come open. Maybe you see Drake London a little bit more, who actually had a pretty good game coming out of the gates. 5 catches, 74 yards. He showed some flashes. It just Saints have a good defense. I don't think that has anything to do with the running game though. Our running game was good. We rushed for 200 yards. That doesn't happen for us all the time. And so you have to give the offensive line their credit where it's due for that. But definitely the 0 sacks that we gave up is huge. Just that stat alone is huge hopefully for the fan base, just to be like, okay, this is happening. We are actually progressing. So like there's so many people jumping off the bridge on Sunday, and I hate to lose. I really do, but I still got those rose-colored glasses on. I'm seeing what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
And here's the thing that got me. Like when we were walking out of the game, we always have a conversation, win, lose, or draw, on the way back to the tailgate, just to, just talk about like the good shit that we saw in the game. And I mean, this one kind of went a little sideways and little butt hurt that we let it get away at the end, and like it was still winnable.
Well, it was the Saints too. That makes it even worse.
Yeah, it's still going to be my least fun home game every year. Even when we beat them, it's not fun. It's just Saints fans are tough. I actually had a more enjoyable time with Saints fans in New Orleans than I ever do when they come to Atlanta. It's something different.
Those damn socks, man, with the change in it.
It's just, there's something about it. It just drives me nuts. But anyways, we were just talking about like all the positive stuff that came from the game. And one of those positives for me is perhaps finding out who Marcus Mariota is very early on. Let's find out what your ceiling is. And I didn't know this at the time, but like all I could think about was like in the third quarter, he has an opportunity to slide, take the first down, but he tries to extend the play, ends up fumbling the football. We lose the football. And from that point forward, and I don't know if it was the catalyst for any of this or not, but everything changed after that. That fumble, that's where the Saints outscored us 17-3 after that fumble. It was his quote after the game when they asked him about it. I wrote it all the way down because I just didn't want to, I don't want to misspeak, but his response was, honestly, I just lost track of where I was. I thought I needed a few more for the first down, so I put my head down, not realizing I already had it. Looking back, I wish I had just gone down and protected the ball and given us a chance to score points. My problem here is you have to know that.
Yeah,
that's pretty important.
As Meatloaf would say, you took the words right out of my mouth. But again, I'll argue for Marcus first game with a new team, first game in a new stadium, first game in a new town, first game with a new fan base, first game in not really in Arthur Smith's offense, but like probably had the jitters, probably wanted to try to do a little too much because he wants – I don't think it was his mindset, his goal to impress the fan base. Maybe subconsciously, like, hey, I want to show these people because he reads the paper probably. He probably hears the chatter. You try to block that stuff out, but you can't always. Like, people are not happy that he's here. They're not particularly happy that he's the guy right now. They want Ritter in there. So maybe he was trying too hard, but 100% right. Like, as the field general, you got to know that play clock. You got to know where, hey, we need 6 inches for, you got to know all that stuff. But again,
but if you want to ingratiate yourself with the fan base, how about protect the ball? Yeah. They want somebody mobile, but if you're mobile and you're giving the ball away, then like, what are we even doing here? But
at least he was honest. He didn't BS us. He just said straight up, here's what happened, guys. And
my whole thing is, and I made it, it's like kind of a joke, but kind of serious, that I wanted to watch our team progress throughout the year and lose every game by 1 point, because I feel like one more really good draft pick or draft in general for us right before we get out of our cap hell, I think would just like boost the rebuild. Now, I also would like to see us go to the playoffs. If that's who we are, let's go to the playoffs. Like I'm not I'm not opposed to winning. But if we wind up with a great draft pick in this draft, I think it helps the rebuild so much. So I'm good either way. What I really need to do, though, and I know they won't take it away from Marcus going to play the Rams this weekend. I know he's going to start this game, and I wouldn't want Ritter to start against a pissed off LA Rams and Aaron Donald. I would not want that to be his first game as a starting quarterback.
Or maybe so. Like, welcome to the NFL, kid, and here's what you get. Let's see how you hold up.
Nope. You save that for Seattle or for Cleveland.
Trial by fire.
Yeah, no, you do not want that fire or that smoke from Aaron Donald. He's pissed. And so is Jalen Ramsey. You surely do not want to be throwing his general direction this coming week.
He got owned. I mean, but he deserved it. He talked all that trash about Allen and the Bills, and he got owned, and I love to see that.
The NFL memes did him so dirty, but it was so hilarious when it was just him as a burnt piece of toast in the interview.
So let's just for a moment talk about our departed QB, because he went 32 of 50 for 352 yards, a touchdown and an INT. They tied the Texans. Hot Rod couldn't get it done. That's why they cut him loose. But I think last year too, he kind of lost that job too. But he had a hip injury. But we're not going to drone on that anymore. But we have coming up our good friend over at Believe, Jared Wilson, is going to come in here because he doesn't think that Matt Ryan is a top 10 all-time quarterback. And we are both just going to absolutely demolish him and everyone else on the entire planet. Because Matt Ryan, once you look at his numbers and what he's done and his body of work, and yeah, it's crystal clear. It's plain as day. If you want to refute it, you can, but you are a moron.
Well, when you look at that though, you got to, if you're talking all time, there's possibly 10 quarterbacks that you would take to start your team instead of Matt Ryan.
I don't. And we'll get into that because he's done things in his career that neither Tom Brady, nor Peyton Manning, nor Joe Montana, nor Roethlisberger, nor Marino, none of those guys, none of them have done. I'm telling you, he's got, and I've done this before and we're going to do it again. I'm telling you, no one is ever going to convince me because of the fact finding and the reading that I've done that he's not. Because he is,
and you are entitled to that.
Yes, I am. But and you can.
And it's gonna be a great show.
You can try, but I'm gonna have a steel chair right over here, and I might get Negan's bat from The Walking Dead, and I might have to crack some heads in here.
I'll make sure I have the brass knucks in the trunks.
Yeah. So anyway,
so here's another thing. So I'm not shy about wanting to know who Desmond Ridder is. I'm not shy about it. I'm also not going to give up on Mariota, even though I think as a franchise going through a rebuild, it's smarter. It's a smarter business decision to go with Ridder to see what you have. And if you find out early on that, he's a bigger work in progress than you think, all that, like, I don't get paid to make these decisions. I just think seeing what we have in him, getting him some time on the field, it helps project our future.
What's your over-under of him getting out there potentially?
You want to know exactly what I think? Here's what I think. I think Marcus Mariota gets brutalized against the Rams. Our offensive line is not going to look the same this week. I'm telling you, they're pissed off. They're coming off a Super Bowl. They just got embarrassed by the Bills. Aaron Donald did not come back to play football for that to happen to him. I promise you, it's gonna be an interesting game. I'm not rooting against the Falcons. My guess is that you see Desmond Ridder for the Browns game, unless Mariota sets the world on fire over the next game. And if they give him another shot and it's against Seattle, then maybe he gets to right the ship there. But I really think that you see Desmond Ridder before week 5.
I was going to say 5, because for whatever reason, and I'm sure it's out there, I just haven't read, but Arthur Smith likes Mariota. He feels like in camp he earned the opportunity to, and maybe just on a personal level, he feels like Mariota has been undersold or hasn't been in a good opportunity to really showcase his talents and what kind of quarterback he is. So,
well, the Atlanta Falcons, I agree with you, but as the Atlanta Falcons have this stigma that needs to be rinsed off, and it's pretty much all due to Arthur Blank and how he Julio. Let's go with Julio. And he said that Julio was always going to be a Falcon, and just he owned with his heart, and he got too attached to players. Like I'm done with that. I'm done with that at this point. Now that I see where our franchise is, so you can love and respect the guy, and you can have a bond with him from your time in Tennessee, but this is also a business, and the best business decision should be considering the future of the franchise. And whether Desmond Ridder is or is not the quarterback of the future is something you need to know. You need to know that. But I don't think Terry Fontenot plays those games. I don't think he's up there. I don't think Arthur does either. I think Arthur brought Marcus in so he didn't have to teach somebody his system. He knows somebody who can help him teach his system to other people. I truly believe that. Now, I also agree with the fact that you don't trot Ridder out there week 1 against the Saints. And it was a close game and great. And maybe you got some people that like what they saw from Mariota. You got some people that hate what they saw from Mariota. It's split down the middle. But either way, you have to get everybody acclimated. It's a lot of new faces on this team. And if Marcus Mariota is the guy to help them get acclimated to this offense and everything, rather than Desmond Ridder try to help acclimate people to an offense that he's new to, I'm cool with that as well. But I'm hoping that the bigger picture here, the bigger plan is to make sure that we know what we have on this football team. Because next year is going to be another story. We got a lot of guys on prove-it deals. We don't know what this team is going to look like again next year. We're going to go through another draft. We're going to bring pieces in that way. And then we're going to have money to spend. So we need to know what we have on our team right now so we know going into next year what we need to get. And if they're still going to draft best player available, which I think is amazing, you can still target.
Are they? Are they going to draft the best player available? I think the Falcons already know what they have in Ridder to a strong degree. I think that's why they drafted him. They've seen preseason. They've seen him in practice. They've seen him in the film room. I think they know what they have. And I think that if he was the guy, he would have started the season. I'm not saying he can't be or won't be. I just think Arthur Smith is not the type of guy to just put Mariota in because. Right. I think if Desmond Ridder had hands, down, head and above, shown that he was the guy that should be back there, he'd be back there. But I wonder, too, I mean, you see where Arthur in his heart almost got us. We almost signed that idiot up in Cleveland who's now out for 11 games. So
you find that funny? You find that funny that 11 game, that really odd, weird number, 11? Do you know who the 12th game on their schedule is?
Is it the Falcons?
No, it's the Texans.
Well,
he got suspended for 11 games randomly.
Hey,
odd number.
You just said it. It's a business.
Yeah.
Maybe that's going to be a hey, everybody tune in and watch Deshaun Watson versus the Texans.
I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that's on purpose.
I wonder sometimes has the shine worn off the Falcons for Arthur? I wonder how much of a football fan he really is. I don't know Arthur Blank.
God, please. I can't tell you.
Is he disinterested?
I don't know if disinterested is a bad word. Please be a little less interested. Please let the guys that you pay to run your football team. Because when you say dumb shit like, oh, Julio's going to be here forever when he's shaking you down for a new contract and he's hurt all the time, like what What are you telling? It's bad for business.
You think he's worse than Jerry?
No, God,
Okay.
no.
I'm just asking.
No,
You know?
no, nobody's worse than Jerry.
Yeah, I think sometimes Jerry's calling plays from from the booth up there from his suite, like
just drinking whiskey. Like, watch this.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, maybe it wouldn't surprise me.
man, it's my cousin posted. Half of my family are Giants fans. The other half are Cowboys fans. And my cousin posted yesterday that like he said that the Cowboys were a marketing company, an insanely good marketing company with a football team. Because I mean, they're the highest valued sports franchise on the planet. I mean, I guess maybe other than some soccer teams, I don't know, but they're definitely the highest valued American sports team. But yeah, neither here nor there. Jerry's got he's too involved. He's too involved, and you can see how that affects. Like, you know, do you give Dak that contract? Do you give Zeke that contract?
Dak Prescott's a dumpster fire, man. He is not.
Well, and also like I'm still like I'm mildly concerned, especially with the way like look at how Lamar Jackson's contract is being handled in Baltimore. He just turned down 5 years, $250 with like $163 guaranteed. Just turned that down. And I'm not sure whether it was because of how the Ravens handled like the initial want to sign a long-term contract with them and how they pushed it off and how this is, I feel like, okay, we'll go ahead and here you go. I don't know if that's what's happening, but like this is Lamar Jackson, who has won MVP of the league, and the Ravens are still doing their due diligence. And I just don't understand how coming off an injury, you can be like, okay, Dak, here you go. Like we think that you could be great, but man, like money is spent so frivolously, and the price tag on these guys is so high. Now, granted, you don't want to let them go, but like, what are you doing to your franchise if you miss? You're risking, because there's no luxury tax in football. Like, you can't just pay for more players. You can't just get whoever you want. You can't be like, oh shit, well, Dak's hurt. Like, watch them try to go for Jimmy Garoppolo. Watch.
But they're toast. Cowboys are done already after game one. He's got a broken thumb. They're never going to go to the play. They might make the playoffs, but they will never, ever, never, mark my words, ever win a Super Bowl with Dak Prescott at the helm and Ezekiel Elliott at running back.
Dak and Zeke go, and then man, you've got some really nice pieces. And I'm not sure why we're even talking about the Cowboys right now, but I don't give a damn. They've got some really nice pieces. They've got Micah Parsons, for God's sakes. Like, that is the only other guy other than Kyle Pitts that I wanted in that draft. Like, Micah Parsons is a freak of nature. He is somebody to build an entire football team around. Like, that is a great piece, and you free up all the money from your running back and your quarterback. I know quarterback is the most important position on the field, is what everybody says all the time. I mean, but it's the common saying. The quarterback is the most important player on the field. Whether it's true or not is irrelevant, but like you can find somebody, you can draft somebody, you can figure that out, but you still have to just build your football team. You know, you might not find your quarterback next year or the year after, but like you can still build a football team around it so that when you do find your quarterback, everything's just there for you. But I don't know. You are 100% correct. I'm pretty sure every single Cowboys fan out there agrees with you. Until Dak and Zeke and their money are gone, then that
nothing.
Or maybe
and Jerry Jones
Jerry's gone.
passes the team on, but he'll die owning that team. It'll never it won't be like, hey, now my son does whatever. He's a power hungry, egomaniacal freak. But enough about that. But you know, I'll say one thing. But when people say the quarterback is the most important person on the field, Trent Dilfer. He had nothing to do with Tampa Bay winning that Super Bowl with Tony Dungy. Nothing. He was on the team. He managed the game, but that is, you take him out of the equation and put anybody in there, Tampa Bay still wins the Super Bowl. So that's all I'll say is but you know, I'm looking at this too. Right now, the line, LA is only a -10 against the Falcons. So I don't know. I mean, the Vegas is usually pretty good.
Yeah. and
Somebody sees something, I mean,
You
it's,
usually don't see like two astronomical spreads in professional football. It's the whole any given Sunday thing. That's what I mean. It's you see some really crazy spreads in college football, but pro football, I mean, that's still 2 scores.
now are the Bucks here? Is it in Atlanta or in Tampa Bay?
We get them
I'm just looking ahead.
home and away.
So this is his first game in Atlanta. Do you know, or I mean, if I probably just clicked on it, it would tell me. Let's just go look if it's at Raymond James or if it's in Atlanta.
I think we play them at home.
Yeah,
at the
this
end.
first Bucks game is at Raymond James. So
Is that a Thursday night game?
no, it's a Sunday, October 9th, but down there in Tampa.
Watch our old buddy Julio run around all reinvigorated.
Really? Because you want to know what his status is right now?
Questionable.
Yeah, it's questionable.
No, that's there. You didn't know that? Like that's like, you can get gold fronts that you put on, or you can get like permanent fronts. Yeah, he's got that permanent Q.
So I don't miss Julio Jones, but hey, that's what's weird about being an NFL fan, because it's every sport. If the Braves stink, they get a better draft position. So it's almost like, well, given where we're at, like, I don't believe in tanking. I guess it probably has happened. My hope is that the Atlanta Falcons go out and try their hardest and play good football every week, like you were saying, and just lose by a point or whatever, because I would like it to
break my heart with a last-minute field goal in every game.
But even if that happens, are they going to take Bryce Young?
This is why I want Desmond Ridder on the football field, so we can assess.
16 games, he'll get his shot.
Sure,
We'll see.
that's the situation I want to assess, and I'm certainly not sold on Bryce. I'm not saying that he can't be a good pro quarterback. I don't think he's not the one for me. He is not the one for me. I've seen enough to know that in the right situation he can be amazing. In the wrong situation, he can look pretty average.
I haven't been sold on any college quarterback in a very long time. And the guys that were supposed to be good, like Zach Wilson was highly touted. He's hurt. Darno was supposed to be, I thought he was going to be pretty good. Not so much. Josh Allen, he had to write letters to people, like to get looked at, and he's doing well. I can't remember the last Tua. I was never sold on Tua. There's something going on in college football with quarterback position. I think who was the last guy that was like done? He is going to be a
Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, and he's with Jacksonville. What's he doing?
We'll
second season.
We'll see.
But
we'll see. Peyton Manning had a really terrible first year of football, and he's Peyton Manning.
Yeah. So I just haven't. There hasn't been that one guy that I'm like, yeah,
Here's my thing too. I don't. You asked if we find out that Dez is not the guy, and Marcus is not the guy. Do we go Bryce Young? I say hell. I still say hell no.
Yeah.
I do not want to roll the dice in a rebuild on a quarterback. It's an unpopular opinion. I don't want either one of those. What I do want is I want a Will Anderson. I want a Jalen Carter. I want a can't miss defensive piece. That's what I want. I want somebody to go next to Grady. I want something on defense that is astounding, because we can figure the rest of it out. Like you just said, defense can win championships, and that is all. Yep. That's all I want you to care about. All I want you to care about, Falcons, is building in the trenches. That's all I care about. And I know Will Anderson's a linebacker, but that is a different linebacker.
I'm gonna throw this at you. After that Alabama-Texas game, there are people starting to whisper that maybe Will Anderson has been exposed. There were a lot of people on the Twitters, and again, it's Twitter. Everybody's an expert on Twitter, but there were a lot of people that were like, "We're not sold on Will Anderson, and like,
sure,
not that he's not good, but they were like, I don't know, man. You know, he kind of didn't do what everybody has bad games. I'm just throwing that out there. People are saying that maybe Will Anderson isn't all that.
Here's the thing. We saw Will Anderson last year, right? Everybody saw him. Everybody saw what he did. Everybody saw his stats. He passed over in Heisman voting, which is like crazy to me, because whether Aiden Hutchinson deserved to be there or not, like, just the statistical comparison between the two of them was so wildly in Will Anderson's favor.
Has a defensive player won the Heisman since Woodson?
No.
Yeah, so it's
no. But what I'm saying is, he deserved. If one deserved to be there, if that one deserved to be there, the other one certainly did. So I'm not taking anything away from him. But you it's the thing we were talking about Clemson when you draft Vic Beasley, because Vic Beasley was a piece on a defense that was so good that you didn't know if he was a sum of the parts, and that just made him look good. His athleticism shined because of who else it was. And we now know Grady Jarrett was the linchpin of that defense, and that's why everybody else looked good. Alabama has such good defensive players around Will Anderson. I don't necessarily know that. I mean, we have more football to watch, so we can find out if he slides down the list. You know who's never going to slide down my list? Jalen Carter. I'll take him in a heartbeat. Love that guy.
If you or I own the Falcons, we would probably draft him, but
sure,
because we don't.
But
they probably. I'm just saying. Look, I'm all in on the Falcons. I love them. We've had our, a breakup relationship, myself and the Falcons. All I'm saying is best player available, and you left Nakobe Dean on the table. You left him on the table. So I'm not, I don't know. I mean, and again, you've heard me on this show a million times now, and even just this is lucky number 13 that we're doing here. Already you've heard me say, hey, leave it up to the organization. We do what we do, and they do what they do for a reason. I don't work for the Falcons. I'm not a scout. I'm not in the war room, any of that. But the Falcons have left players on the table so many times, and I want them to stop.
And that's fair. That's fair. I think I've said it on this show. If I haven't, I'll say it now. Like, when we got the new regime in, I know what it is. I know where we are. I know next year is when the dead cap money comes off, and we're a semi-normal football team again. And then we're going to do some stuff there. And then the year after that is when I'm going to start putting my personal pressure back on the team. Like, I'm not going to stop being a fan. I'm not going to stop caring. But when stuff like this happens right now at this juncture of the rebuild, there's some stuff we can work on. But that's what we're doing. We're literally rebuilding, so we're working on everything. So, like, I can compartmentalize this and not be like, oh, there goes the Falcons falconing again. Okay, like, that shit is so old. It's so played out. And if you're one of those people, just like stop, stay home. Like, don't come out. Like, it's so annoying. Absolutely the most annoying thing in the entire world. Oh, no.
I mean, Falcons be falconing sometimes, Browns be browning, Mets be metting. I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, but like, man, I'm here to tell you that in the middle of a rebuild, like, this isn't the Super Bowl, which is what, like, the biggest choke, right? That's what everybody wants to focus on. But so the Braves just won the World Series. So it went from ATLing, which is what people used to say, because all Atlanta sports teams choke. Now the Bulldogs and the Braves come home with some hardware. Now it's just falconing. Now the Falcons are just the choke artists. It's a focus on negativity.
I don't think that at all. I definitely don't think that at all. I think winning is infectious, and I think maybe it's finally time Atlanta had their day in the sun, and I think until they prove otherwise, that Arthur Smith and Terry have my full support to bring this team out of the doldrums, which they've been in since since that Super Bowl. I'm all on board. I mean, who knows, man? I like to, we say no more negative expectations, and you can do that all day long. You can walk down the street, whistling. But, hey, man, we do have history here. I mean, Georgia's number one. We'll talk about that next episode, but they look amazing. But that bugaboo could, and I try to block it out and say, no, it's gone. But it's kind of still sometimes looming there. I mean, the Braves could get into you saw it a little bit playing against the Mariners and the Giants. They kind of like games we probably should have won, and Jansen, and we'll get into that later because we're both looking at the time here, and we got to wrap it up. But what we're going to leave you with is this. The Bird Gang tailgate is back in full effect. I'm going to go check it out this season. We've got some other friends that are going to come by. I have the ability to do it. I can't. I've been to Mercedes-Benz, but I've yet to be to I've been to a United game there, but I've not been to a Falcons game there. I'm excited.
We got to stock the pond.
I'm all about Mariota. I'm all about him until I'm not all about him, and you should be too. And it really is the thing we talk about all the time is we have to change our mindset as fans, and there's some – I even struggle with it sometimes. I think everyone does, but there are just some fans that no matter what the Falcons, Braves, the Dogs, or whoever, no matter what they do, they always have something negative to say. Maybe it's like that. Maybe there's the Randy Quaid from Major League 2 in every fan base. I just feel like it's much more prominent here, and there is this bigger divide of this split. It's a wedge, and I think we all need to, what we're all about on this show by now after 13 episodes. We're going to be the same on the episode 1300 as we are now. We've got to come together and say more intelligent things about our team and more intelligent takes and look at it from more of a player, coach, organization aspect. For me, some of you people just get verbal diarrhea and just barf all over Twitter. And I'm like, what is the matter with you? So anyway, because we love everybody. I love all the Atlanta fans. If you're like that, I'm just saying, I don't know how much more energy I'm going to expend on it because you're probably never going to change, but I would like to make you sound a little, and I say dumb things too. Sometimes I get dragged into the Twitter trenches as I did over the weekend, and probably, it wasn't anything crazy, but sometimes my emotions get in the way, and I'm just like, oh yeah, well, shut up. You're ugly. So anyway.
That's heat of the moment conversation, but to just like a lot of people, especially on the internet, they just drop matches that turn into fires.
Yeah, so I just think us as a fan base, it's a little more prominent in our fan base that people are too in their feels. That's what I'll say. I think Atlanta fans are too in their feels as compared to other sports fan bases, and I think we need to get out of our feels a little more and put our GM hat on. Not that we can run the team, but just think more like how they approach the game. Have a more intelligent approach to how you watch and how you participate and how you conversate and pontificate on our teams.
Heard. And I'll go ahead and go on the record as saying this right now. If Marcus Mariota is our guy, I hope it leads us to a really good draft pick. And if we make the playoffs, I hope it's because Desmond Ridder led this team to the playoffs. That's where I'm at this year. I don't ever want to lose games as a Falcons fan, but like really thinking long term, that's where my head is at. That's where it's always going to be at. And I know. Now I'm on camera. I'm on microphone. Yeah. It's stamped. That's how I feel.
Speaking of stamped this episode, number 13. It's in the books. We got to get out of here, but we'll see you next time, Atlanta, and we'll see you at the Bird Gang tailgate. And don't forget postseason Braves, Hawks. It's all coming up. We love you. Good night.
Are we done now?
Do you believe